Okay. Well, welcome and thanks for joining us today. If you're watching this on live stream on the SFF events page, please do click on the button that says join the room. It's at the top of the page, and that way you can be part of the discussion. On behalf of the Romance Steering Committee of SFF, I'm delighted to welcome Rebecca Hefner today. She's a USA Today best-selling author who writes epic fantasy worlds and dystopian sci-fi with sizzling romance and twists. She also devours audiobooks and loves helping other authors find success with wide and direct audiobook production and marketing. She organizes Stuff Your Earbuds and indie audiobook deals promos and admins the Marketing Audiobook Wide Facebook group where she shares her wide audiobook knowledge. Her latest release is Shimmering Echoes, a sci-fi dystopian romance. And I'd like to thank her for coming today to talk to us about marketing audiobooks wide. And in a few minutes, I'll also be putting in the chat a link to a download that she's been generous enough to share with us of tips for marketing audiobooks wide. Rebecca, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's so nice to be here to chat with you all. Yeah, thanks for having me. Awesome. As you said, I admin the Marketing Audiobooks Wide group on Facebook. And from that, I sort of started realizing that there was really an opportunity to talk to other authors and sort of help other authors learn how to market and sort of learn how to distribute and then market audiobooks on other platforms besides Audible. So that's what I'm going to chat with you all about today. Okay, I do have a presentation and I'll just go through a couple of slides. Now, I'm going to try and share my screen. I'm not super tech savvy, so we'll see. Can you all see this, hopefully?
Yes, we can.
Great. Okay. I just want to hide this. Okay. And then, okay. Oops, sorry. Okay, so I am not great with, hold on, I need to get this. Hold on, I'm sorry. There we go. Okay. Also, my PA helped me write this slideshow, and some of the text is in caps and some of it isn't. I don't know why it sort of exported like that from Canva. It's all in caps in Canva. So anyway, if y'all are wondering why, I don't know. So there we go. Okay, great. So yeah, I'm going to speak to you all about going wide with audiobooks. I'll go over these slides pretty quickly, but please just, if you have a question or something, just like hop in and ask. And then at the end, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you all have. How does that sound? Good? Everyone's there? Okay. Okay, so also I thought, hold on, let me just make sure. I thought I hid this. Here we go. Got it. Okay. All right. So what does going wide with audio mean? So going wide with audio really just means that you are on other places besides Audible. So you distribute your audiobooks to other places besides Audible. So Audible, of course, used to be the main player in the market. And some people will tell you that it still is, but I'm here to tell you that it is not. And the market is rapidly changing. And there is so much opportunity to be had on places outside of Audible. So a lot of authors are finding success by going wide and distributing to other platforms. Okay, hold on. Okay. So Audible ACX is the old kid on the block. So you can still obviously produce books in ACX. I still put a lot of my audiobooks on ACX. I don't put a lot of my box sets on there because everyone on Audible buys with a credit. So I don't like giving away multiple audiobooks for one credit, which is what happens with box sets. But I do still have most of my individual audiobooks on Audible ACX. So again, it's not that I'm, saying don't distribute to Audible because you still do get really good discoverability that way. But there are certainly other ways to distribute. So Of course, ACX is not available in all countries. So if there are people in your organization from other countries like New Zealand, Australia, I can't remember all the list of the countries, there are other places where you can produce audiobooks as well. So ACX Audible pays a 40% royalty if you're exclusive and 25% if you're not exclusive. So a lot of people sort of fall into the bucket of, well, I'm going to stick with Audible because I get a higher royalty. I get 15% more. And I can see how that would be appealing at first, but I'm going to talk about some of the other channels and to show you that giving up that extra 15% on Audible and going non-exclusive and just getting your 25% royalty there can really open up so many other doors to give you such a higher chance to make more royalties on other platforms. So that's what I do. I choose non-exclusive. And so the most important thing about Audible is that you cannot control your price there. So first and foremost, the most important thing about going wide is that you can control your audiobook pricing. Now we're all familiar with ebooks and how obviously with ebooks, we want to price them the way that we want, right? We might want to do our first in series free or first in series at 99 cents. And then, subsequent books could be higher. We get that control as indie authors. Well, on ACX, you don't. You cannot control your pricing. So that is the biggest thing, that you really don't have control of your audiobook catalog. And sometimes authors will say to me, well, ACX distributes my books to iTunes, to Apple iTunes, so I can control my pricing there, right? And the answer is no. You cannot control your pricing on your iTunes audiobook distributed through distributed through ACX either. So you really want to distribute to Apple from a different aggregator or platform so that you can control your price there and on all of the other platforms. To me, this is really important and really one of the main reasons why I'm not exclusive, because I obviously want to be able to price my own audiobooks the way I want to price them. So again, this is a lot of times one of the main reasons that authors choose to go wide, is to gain that control of the pricing back. Now, in the next few sections, I'm just going to discuss some of the different wide audiobook distribution platforms. And of course, I think you guys are all familiar with Spotify, which used to be Findaway Voices, other aggregators like Authors Republic and Publish Drive, Kobo, but there are other ones like BookFunnel and YouTube. So I'm going to talk about a lot of the different aggregators and publishing platforms, because there really are a ton of ways to get your audiobook out to your listeners. So of course, Spotify, similar to Drafted Digital for ebooks, Spotify, which used to be Findaway Voices, is a platform that distributes your audiobook to over 50 retail and library outlets. So I know that someone mentioned that they listen on Libro FM. So I use Findaway Spotify for the majority of my audiobooks currently. That gets me to Libro FM and all of these other places I listed here. So, Apple iTunes, which again, to mention, you want to get to Apple Books. You want to get your audiobook on there through an aggregator so you can control what the price is on Apple. Again, you cannot control the price of your ACX audiobook on Apple. And then, of course, Barnes & Noble, Google Play. I mean, there are just so many places that you can distribute. And then, of course, there are your library outlets like Hoopla, Overdrive and Libby, Biblioteca. And then there are your subscription services like Scribd, Storytel, and others. So there are a ton of places that you can distribute your audiobook to. Now, if you don't want to go with Spotify, people have strong opinions on different retailers and things like that. That's totally fine. There are other aggregators that can get you to the same places, like Authors Republic, Publish Drive, and more. So you have other options if you don't want to go with Spotify, which is great. It's great to have multiple options in for distribution. I've only gone through Spotify Findaway so far, but I will be I am going to put a new trilogy up on Authors Republic. I'm going to distribute through them for the new trilogy when it's ready. So we'll see how that goes. I want to give them a try. Okay, so Kobo is another distributor. And the reason I talk about them as a distributor, as they're also a retailer, obviously, as we all know, but you can upload your audiobooks directly to Kobo. And Kobo is very friendly. They want you to succeed, and they want you to upload your audiobooks directly to them. If you do that, you are going to be able to participate in all of their audiobook promotions that they do, and they do monthly audiobook promotions. And I find that that's a great way for me to get visibility on that platform. And then, of course, I think as everyone is aware now, Kobo offers Kobo Plus, which is a non-exclusive subscription program, which is desperately needed in the book world. I think if you talk about going wide, you're just not a fan of exclusivity. I am not a fan of exclusivity. So I love the Kobo Plus program, and my audiobooks do very well in there. And it's just a way for people to listen to it's $8 a month for the audiobook subscription, and you can listen to unlimited audiobooks, any audiobooks enrolled in Kobo Plus. So that's a great program that I highly recommend, and I highly recommend going direct to Kobo. Now, BookFunnel is I think a lot of you are, I'm sure, familiar with this and use BookFunnel. For audiobooks, I find it very helpful because you can create your audiobook just as you would upload it to ACX, Findaway, or anywhere else. But then you can create a distributable file, a distributable audiobook that the listener can listen to in the BookFunnel app. And so this is what I use to distribute my audiobook review copies to my ALC team. So ALC stands for Advanced Listening Copy, right? It's because we have ARCs, which are Advanced Reader Copies. So I distribute my ALCs through BookFunnel when I have new audiobooks. And then also I have a direct store, and so therefore when people purchase audiobooks from me on my direct store, I can then distribute them through BookFunnel, and it makes it very, very easy. So direct selling, I really do believe, is the next frontier. I have several direct stores because I have several pen names because I just like torturing myself. But Rebecca Hefner is my main pen name, and that is the platform that I use. I use Shopify for that platform. So I have BookFunnel integrated with Shopify. I also have a PayHip store for a smaller pen name, and I have BookFunnel integrated there. I use the same BookFunnel account. And again, I sell audiobook bundles and different audiobooks on my direct store, and BookFunnel really allows a very easy, simple way for me to distribute those books to my listeners. And my listeners love the BookFunnel app. They think it's so easy to use, very similar to Audible. You can listen at different speeds like you can on Audible. You can bookmark your chapter. You can do all of the things that you can do on the Audible app in the BookFunnel app. So it's really great. And again, this is just me sort of talking about how I really do believe that direct selling is the future of indie publishing. So this is just a screenshot of my store. So you can see these are some of the different bundles that I sell, and I sell all of these in ebook and audiobook bundles. So you can see here I'm on ebook and audio. So whenever anyone purchases any of these bundles, they are all delivered directly through BookFunnel. And it's, again, it's very seamless and easy, which is nice. YouTube is another place where a lot of authors are starting to put their audiobooks. And if you upload your audiobooks to YouTube, once you have 1,000 followers or subscribers, you can then monetize your channel. And then as people listen to your audiobooks, you get paid. So that's a lovely thing. And many authors that I have met through sort of what I do in the Marketing Audiobooks Wide group and things like that, they tell me that their YouTube platform is their most profitable audiobook platform. So there really is a big opportunity there. Now, I write steamy, paranormal and fantasy and sci-fi romance. So I don't have my books on YouTube right now because I just haven't had the time to sit down and kind of edit out the steamy scenes, because that will probably get my channel banned. So you want to make sure that if you do upload your books to YouTube, you want to edit that stuff out and make sure you don't put anything that's, any scenes that are too violent or too steamy, because your channel can get banned or demonetized. And then all that hard work that you spent getting those 1,000 subscribers isn't going to matter. So, okay, so those are the main platforms I wanted to touch on. And then I just wanted to, again, sort of give a summary of what the biggest advantages are of going wide. So of course, controlling your audiobook pricing, that's extremely important. Larger royalties than ACX. So whereas ACX will give you 40% if you're exclusive with them, most of the other retailers are going to give you somewhere between, 50 to 50 or 45 to 60%, I guess, depending upon what retailer it is and what their terms are. If you go direct with Kobo, of course, then you can participate in their audiobook promos. And then since you can set your own pricing, you can create an audiobook sale. You can advertise that sale with Facebook ads or BookBub ads or in your newsletter, social media. And I do this all the time. I usually put one audiobook under each of my author names on sale each month. I just pick a random book usually and put it on sale. And then I just sort of advertise it on social media and stuff. And I get a lot of sell through that way, which is nice. Now, something that's really important when you're wide is the ability to secure a chirp deal. If you guys are familiar with BookBub, which I'm sure you are, obviously BookBub is getting a BookBub featured deal is just an amazing thing to get as an indie author. Well, getting a chirp featured deal is exactly the same. So if your audiobook gets chosen for a chirp featured deal, they will send it out just like they do the BookBub deals to everyone on Chirp, everyone in their cultivated list of listeners. And every time I have a featured deal, I've had lots of them now. I mean, they make my month. I mean, the revenue is unbelievable. So this is another big reason when people tell me they're going to stick with Audible, I just remind them that they really are denying themselves, if they're exclusive with Audible, the chance to get a featured deal. And it really can be kind of a career making opportunity for your audiobooks, because the sell through is usually very good as well on your other audiobooks, because it brings people to your author profile on Chirp. So. And then, of course, being wide allows you to give away a free listener magnet. I have a prequel to my paranormal romance series that is free in ebook and audio on my website, and I give it away to everyone. And then I get a lot of sell through on my other audiobooks because they listen to the first audiobook and then they continue to listen to the series, which is great. And then, of course, the ability to sell to consumers through your own store. Okay, so now that's sort of like very quick overview of the wide platforms, the major wide platforms. There are a lot out there. The next thing, obviously, I'm not sure how many of you have audiobooks, or maybe have some of your books made into audiobooks, or are thinking about audiobooks, or have all of your books made into audiobooks. But the first thing that I always talk to people about is deciding whether you want to produce the audiobooks yourself, meaning that you reach out to a narrator and you sort of negotiate the pricing with them and you do everything directly with the narrator. That's how I make all of my audiobooks. Of course, that does require a lot of investment upfront, right? You have to pay the narrator out of your own pocket upfront. So some authors choose to go with other companies, production companies like Pink Flamingo, Audiobook Empire, and then you would give them your audiobook rights, they give you a royalty, and then you negotiate a certain amount of time that they own your audiobook rights. But again, if you don't have the funds to produce audiobooks up front, I work with Pink Flamingo often. We do a lot of promotions together. I think they're a great company. So I definitely recommend them to people who aren't willing or don't have the funds to pay for their audiobooks up front. Again, I will say, if you do have the funds to produce your audiobooks, if you do have the funds to speak to a narrator directly and produce the audiobook with them, I do highly recommend that, because that allows you full control. That allows you to put it right up on your store, start submitting for Chirp featured deals right away, really start marketing that audiobook. It's yours and no one else is sort of in the pod. So if you have the funds to do it and you want to make an investment in your business, I do highly recommend it. But again, I understand everyone's circumstances are different. You're looking for a place to produce audiobooks. I do still have most of my narrators produce audiobooks in ACX. I do find their platform very easy to use. So if you have access to that, you can produce. And by produce, I just mean that my narrators will upload all of the MP3 files there, and then when they're finished and I've listened to everything and I've confirmed that everything is correct, I can download all of the MP3 files from the book in ACX and then distribute them wherever I would like. I save them on my computer and distribute them wherever I'd like. Now, some books that I don't have on ACX, and again, there are a few I don't have on Audible, I just produce directly with my narrators and I have them upload the files into a Google Drive for me. Excuse me. So there are definitely different options. We also have a thread that's in the featured post of the Marketing Audiobooks Wide group. where narrators it's a narrator author connection thread. So narrators have gone in there and put a sort of some information about themselves, what they like to narrate, what their style is, and how you can contact them. So anyone can go into that post and search for narrators and reach out to them and maybe have them do an audition and see if they're right to narrate your book. So the way that I find a narrator is I just find a scene from my book. I find a narrator that I think I might want to work with. I have them do an audition. Or I can put it up on ACX and wait for a fair amount of auditions to come in if I'm looking for a new narrator. And then you agree on a per finished hour price with your narrator. So let's say you're paying the narrator, $200 per finished hour. That means that if your audiobook is 10 hours, those are the finished hours, then the final cost would be $2,000. And per finished hour rates for audiobook narrators can really vary. I do always say make sure you negotiate, because especially newer newer narrators are willing to take a chance and give you a lower per finished hour cost. I find if I sort of promise them a couple of books up front and they're a new narrator wanting to make a name for themselves, then they're willing to negotiate with me. So I use a combination of unknown narrators and well-known narrators so that I have that negotiating power when I want to save money on some books and then invest more money on other books. And then, of course, you select non-exclusive in ACX, and the files are yours, and you can upload them anywhere. So now, once you have your files, then it's time to market your audiobook. How fun. I know we all love marketing. So again, I highly recommend joining the Marketing Audiobooks Wide Facebook group. And there are many seasoned wide audiobook authors in there, including me and a lot of other people who freely like to help other authors and give their advice for success. So in conclusion, distributing your audiobooks to wide platforms can really increase your visibility and grow your income much faster than just being exclusive to Audible. Gone are the days where Audible is the only player in the market, and there is a huge shift happening in the market right now. And I really like to equate it to TV streaming. And so obviously we all know that several years ago, Netflix was really the only prominent TV streaming service. Now everyone has multiple apps. I mean, I myself personally, I think I have Disney Plus, Netflix, Hulu. I don't even remember what I have. I have so many. And the average audiobook consumer is like that now too. They listen on Hoopla, they listen on Libro FM, they listen on Audible, they listen on Kobo Plus. So we're really seeing the same growth and disruption in the market from these multiple listening apps, just like we saw in the TV market. So again, having your books available on all of these retailers and all of these apps will ensure maximum exposure for your book babies that you spent so much hard work writing, and you spent all of this money to pay these narrators. So you want to get them out there and you want to get them heard. So thanks so much for, listening to me talk about audiobooks. I absolutely love talking about audiobooks. And just so you know, audiobooks are the highest grossing part of my business. So I actually make more most months from audiobooks than I do, more revenue than I do from ebooks or paperbacks. So once I figured that out, I realized I wanted to help other authors. So I'm always here to help and answer any questions. I wrote a free guide that I did send the link to that I think you all are going to send out. And it's also pinned in the featured posts of the Marketing Audiobooks Wide group. So I'm always happy to help anyone who wants to learn more about Marketing Audiobooks Wide. Okay.
Great. Thank you so much, Rebecca. That I've learned a great deal
Sure.
here, and this is wonderful and very encouraging. I'd like to encourage everyone, if you have a question, bring it up with a small group, ask directly or put it in the chat and I'll pass it along. I see one here already from Gwen. How about making your audiobooks available to libraries?
Yes, great question. So all of my audiobooks are available through libraries, through the Hoopla and the Overdrive apps. And though I get to Hoopla and Overdrive through Spotify Findaway Voices. So that's my distributor. And then I select those different library channels, and that's how I get to Hoopla, and that's how I get to Overdrive. So that's where library listeners listen to my audiobooks. So yeah, great question. You definitely want your audiobooks in libraries. I have, Hoopla is awesome. I've had a lot of people discover me on Hoopla. Okay.
Great. And one from Victoria. How do you deal with quality control and editing?
Oh, another good question. Okay, so the great thing about working with narrators is that that is their job. So, and I know some authors narrate their own books. I don't do that because that is just not something that I want to learn, and I don't want to learn how to edit MP3 files and audiobook files. That is not something to, nor do I have time to learn that. So I will always hire narrators. And the great thing about narrators is that that's part of their job. They are the producer of the audiobook. So any professional narrator that you hire will already be well versed in the production of your audiobook. So they should and will, if they are a professional narrator, they will know how to do that for you. So they will know the quality specs and everything that they have to do. Also, the quality specs and everything are also available for anyone to look up in the help section of ACX or the help section of Spotify or the help section of Publish Drive. Like you can find them anywhere. You just go to their help section and you search audiobook specifications and you'll see what specifications you need. But again, any narrator who's a professional narrator that's their job. They'll do that for you. That's part of that per finished hour fee that you're paying them. And yeah, every narrator I've ever worked with has been wonderful and has, the quality is fantastic. So,
Okay.
oh, okay. I saw the question. Sorry. Go ahead, because you probably want to read it out loud.
Sure. What if you have fantasy names with odd pronunciations? Do you provide sound files to the narrator?
Yes, I got excited about that because I have a lot of fantasy names with super weird pronunciations, and my narrators we just joke about how I think they just want to strangle me half the time. So yes, I do. So I just use voice notes on my cell phone, and I go through my manuscript and I pick out every single word that could possibly be questionable with pronunciation, and I make a voice note and I just go through and I tell them exactly how I want each word pronounced in the manuscript. So when you hire a narrator and you send them the manuscript initially, something that I really encourage, because this will make your narrators job easier as well, right? Because you're going to be working with these people for lots of books, hopefully. So you want to have a nice relationship and make it easy for them. So an author should always prepare their manuscript properly for the narrator. So one thing that I like to do is I like to go through and if I'm doing a duet narration, which I do, some of my books are duet narration and some are solo narration. So if I'm doing a duet narration, I obviously go through the manuscript and I write down if it's male POV or female POV for each section, because depending upon what it is, that's what the main narration voice is going to be in that section or chapter. And then I make a voice note with all of my weird names and I sort of make a summary of them on a summary page. And then I send the voice note along with the summary page so that they can hear upfront how I want all of the names and everything pronounced. And then the other thing you want to do when you prepare your manuscript for your narrators is you want to make sure the back matter is ready for them. So obviously you're not going to have the same back matter in an audiobook manuscript. So for me, I always have a before you go section at the end. So it's just a new chapter that I have after the epilogue, but before the ending credits. It's called Before You Go. I have it in every book. And I have the narrator record something like, thanks so much for listening to Repressed Echoes. If you want to hear more from Rebecca, you can find all of her audiobooks at RebeccaHefner.com. So I just send everyone to my website and I have that at the end of every audiobook. So those are the different things that you want to prepare for your narrators. So yes, I definitely suggest making a voice note for them of all the weird names that you make up, because otherwise it's going to save you and them a lot of times. That's a really great question.
Great, thank you. Question from Megan. Juggling lots of platforms is hard and annoying. How many platforms do you recommend people try initially? How often do you recommend that people make decisions about keeping or dropping platforms from their rotation?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a wide ebook author too. It's like, all the places that we can upload to it's just exhausting. But because I hate exclusivity, I'm willing to put up with it. So for audiobooks, it's actually not as bad as ebooks, because there are less places you can go direct with audiobooks. So like you can't go direct to Barnes and Noble. I go direct to Barnes and Noble for my ebooks, but I get to Barnes and Noble through Findaway, through Spotify. With audiobooks because they don't allow direct upload, and Apple doesn't allow direct upload either. So there are actually less places with your audiobooks. So I basically I really only upload to 4 places: ACX, Kobo, Spotify Findaway. That gets me everywhere else. That gets me to libraries, subscriptions like Scribd. That gets me everywhere else. And then the fourth one is BookFunnel, so that I can sell my audiobooks on my direct store. And it's really only 4 platforms. I don't upload to YouTube, so if I did, that would be a fifth. But a lot of authors make a lot of money on YouTube, so I feel like if you're making a lot of money, like, are you really going to be mad uploading another audiobook there? Probably not. So that would be the fifth. That's really it as far as I know. That really gets me everywhere.
I'd like to follow that up with a question about distributors. I'm one of the people who was moving to find a way and didn't like the rights grab. And you mentioned you're putting your new trilogy on a different distributor. Do you have any advice about choosing other distributors in the apart from Findaway, Spotify?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a big debate in the audiobook world right now. So I will say, and this is just my opinion, and I have an attorney who looks over every single thing, every single one of my contracts. So so for me personally, when the whole Spotify thing happened, the rights grab was ridiculous. I think we all can appreciate that and agree upon that. I After that, they quickly rectified it, and there were 2 schools of thought. There was one school of thought that was basically like, well, I don't care, you've lost me forever. I'm in the other school of thought, which is, I really appreciated how quickly they corrected things. I mean, I was also around when Audible had that whole return scandal that Megan was talking about, and they didn't give a crap. They didn't bend over backwards. They didn't answer our concerns. They didn't really care. It took months and months and years, of trying to get them to do anything. So the fact that Findaway, Spotify rectified it in 2 days, for me, that was a good show of faith. And again, everyone is different and everyone has different opinions. I then had my lawyer look over the new terms of service. And, to be honest, you can actually also go direct to Google Play now. This kind of happened around the same time. I don't go direct to Google Play yet, but I'm about to upload some audiobooks there. So anyway, at that same time, I had him look over the Google Play contract, and his response to me was the Google Play contract is way worse than the new Spotify contract after they redid the terms, because the Google contract is like AI, they can use your stuff for AI, they can use it for whatever they want. It's like really bad. It's way worse than the Spotify one. But anyway, the point is all of these retail platforms and aggregators are going to they're not going to have terms of service in your interest. They're going to have terms of service in their interest. This is why I'm such a huge fan of direct selling, because that is my terms of service. I make the terms of service on my own store. With that being said, I still want the discoverability of being on a lot of platforms for now. So I chose to stay with Spotify Findaway. I'm happy with them. I feel like the new terms of service, according to my attorney and everything, are just as standard as everyone else. As far as Authors Republic, I am going to try them. I did sign up. I did create an account, and I am going to distribute my new trilogy there. And I'm going to do it really not because I'm unhappy with Spotify, but because as the admin of the Marketing Audiobooks Wide group and as someone who consults with other authors on audiobooks, I just think it's important that I have experience with them. I can tell you that one thing I know already I'm not going to like about them is the fact that they don't allow you to select in your dashboard which retailers you can go with. So in Findaway, you can choose, like, you can untick the box. I can untick Audible. I can untick Kobo. I can untick Google Play. I have all that control in my dashboard. With Authors Republic, you automatically get distributed, like you upload your audiobook and they will automatically distribute you anywhere unless you email them, and you have to make a list of where you don't want them to distribute. And then they have to select it manually on their end. And then if you want to put your book on sale, then you have to email them and ask them to put your book on sale. So for me, I can already see, yeah, this is going to drive me nuts and I'm not going to like it. But again, I'm going to do one trilogy there because I just want to see how the experience is. For me, having control and being able to control my own pricing in my dashboard and being able to control where I distribute in my dashboard is very important to me. That's one of the biggest advantages to Spotify, in my opinion. But again, just, to answer your question, like there are a lot of different aggregators and platforms out there. And yeah, I think just do your research and if you go onto these different websites, Authors Republic, Publish Drive, Spotify, they have a list of everywhere that they distribute. So you can find that list, but they're very similar. Like all of the retailers that all of these aggregators go to, it's 50, 55 retailers, including libraries and stuff. And it's all very, very similar.
Great, thank you. That's very helpful. I
Sure.
appreciate it. I'm not seeing any other questions. I did put the link to your download in the chat so that people could get it. And usually at the end, we do some breakout rooms if there's enough people, but I think with this group, if people want to just chat together, that's fine. But let me first just tell you quickly about what we have coming up for these events. On July 20th, next month, Gail Carriger is going to be joining us for a Q&A. And we're really looking forward to that. On August 17th, we'll be having J. Scott Coatsworth. And in the meantime, I'd just like to really thank Rebecca for sharing her knowledge with us today. This has been so helpful and so much good information. So thank you so much for coming and sharing this all with us.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And again, I'm happy to answer any questions. So this is a lot to digest. So as you all digest it, feel free to reach out to me. I really mean it. I love talking about audiobooks. So.